creepy and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
You guys thought the Paris catacombs were bad. Have you heard of the Palermo catacombs? Okay, so beneath the streets of Palermo, Sicily is one of the most eerie burial sites in Europe, the Capuchin catacombs of Palermo. What began in the 1500s as a way to bury Capuchin monks turned into a massive mummified cemetery. Locals and wealthy citizens paid to be preserved and placed in niches along the underground corridors. Thousands of skeletons and corpses are on display. Some of them dressed in their best clothes and others stand or lie in the niches, and they're all grouped by gender, age, and status. One of the most famous is Rosalia Lombardo, a 2-year-old child whose body, preserved in the 1920s, still looks almost like she's sleeping. The catacombs are a haunting record of death rituals and preservation techniques spanning centuries, which is actually pretty cool, and they attract visitors from all around the world. Now, I'm usually
How does it smell in there? That's the thing I'm most worried about.
not into celebrity conspiracies, but this one is a little different. And it may seem a little far out at first, but stay with me. People are noticing that something is different about Selena Gomez. And not only that, but there are weird similarities that are so connected to someone else. Everything from the shape of her mouth to how she speaks, how she holds herself.
If you watch Selena's videos from her early years up to now and pay close attention to her eyes, her mouth, her voice, and the way she speaks, you'll notice something unsettling. It doesn't feel like the same person at all. Over time, she has seemed less and less like Selena and more like...
The thing that makes it spiritual is the fact that it's connected to someone else. Now, this is Gina Davis, and people are saying there's so many similar attributes to what Selena has taken on.
More and more like Gina Davis.
She used to be vibrant with a charming smile, but now her mouth turns down, just like Gina Davis.
And now where it gets spiritual is the fact that people are saying there was a soul transfer.
Time can make someone age, but it doesn't suddenly turn one person into someone else. Selena's name reportedly appeared in the archives connected to Jeffrey Epstein. According to those records, there was even mention of technology capable of transferring a soul from one body to another.
And now this technology does exist, and we've actually been seeing this for eons with our presidents and other celebrities who have reincarnated throughout time into different form. But there's always some type of similarity, and we just never had the technology to be able to put it together and to talk about it. And it's becoming more widely known that something has been happening behind the scenes. And the more that we question, the more that we look into things, the more is revealed and the more tools, resources, and intelligence we have to set ourselves up for success. So I'm not even saying this is true necessarily, so don't come at me. However, I do want you to question what is happening behind the scenes and wake up to the fact that there's something else going on. And what do you think about this?
We live in a real-life sci-fi movie, friends.
Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers said he's been haunted by the Hat Man since his first ayahuasca trip in Peru, and he's not the only one. Thousands of people around the world have reported seeing a shadowy figure in a hat standing in their room while they're sleeping. In an interview in August of 2022, Aaron Rodgers said, "The Hat Man sometimes appears in the distance, staring at me, usually holding a rabbit and a blade, just looking." Many claim that this was taken out of context and meant to be satire. But either way, it's really creepy because so many people have reported similar encounters with the Hat Man.
Is it true that Aleister Crowley knew what he was doing? He summoned an entity. Its name was Lam, L-A-M. And this is what it looked like. That looks like a little Yoda to me. Looks like it's got a cape on. Big head, doesn't have big eyes, but has little eyes, little mouth. That looks a lot like these things. We're missing something. See, Aleister Crowley was considered the most evil man to have ever lived. Yet at the same time, people treat him in history like this wacko. Even Anton LaVey came to the conclusion that Aleister Crowley was not as real as he thought he was. Or that his religion was not as real as he thought it was. No, there was more to Aleister. Aleister may have not been no rocket scientist, but I'll tell you this. His disciple was. Also, someone else removed from the history books. Keep digging, you'll find it.
Where do these entities go after they are summoned?
It's a little bit scary. I gotta say, it's a little bit scary. But you guys knew that I might still show up, even though it was last minute and I've had a really rough week. Like, you know, that's kind of like every week. But somehow we keep on making it through all this.
That is before David Wilcock died. Now, he was a scientist, right? He had a show or like a podcast, I don't know what it was, but it was called Ancient Aliens. David Wilcock is one of the 15, I believe at this point, scientists that have gone missing and then been found dead. A slew of them. Like, it's literally a pattern at this point. All of them studying just about the same thing, essentially aerospace. And strangely enough, there's a sinister feeling that comes from this because 2 weeks before, David Wilcock's co-host, or like another guy that was on that show with him, he died 2 weeks earlier. And then 2 days before David Wilcock died, his biographer also dropped dead. And right before David Wilcock himself died, he posts this: "I plan on living, not suicidal at all, just concerned about what happens when you prove God is real." I mean, bro? To the point where Trump is commenting on this, like they're bringing it to the White House because it is so in our face. Like at this point, it's insulting. Now they're saying, well, the FBI is going to investigate this. We all know what that means. Like, let's be honest. And then it's crazy. Obviously, these scientists, their deaths should be looked into. They're important. But then the other side of me is wondering, is this a distraction? Because you guys know whenever something big happens and they allow us the information to kind of dig deep in our brains, there's something going on behind the smokescreen that they don't want us tapping into. I don't know. I just don't know. Really strange times we're living in. I'm so curious to see what you guys think. As always, make sure you like and follow. Comment down below if you've been following this, you've been seeing this, if you have more information for me. If anything, I'll make a part 2. Let me know.
You know, something that the world should know because, why kill them? May they rest in peace.
Chihuahuas were built for the underworld. Please allow me to explain. They were originally named the Chichis. They were larger and much quieter, first recorded with the Toltecs and the Aztecs. They were bred as companions and believed to have supernatural abilities, like guiding their owners into the afterlife. So when someone died, their dog was sacrificed with them. The Aztecs also had constant food shortages, so they sometimes ate them. Then the Spanish arrived in the 1500s looking for wealth, as they do, and they were like, great idea, we're hungry too. Let's eat 100,000 of them. At least. They also brought smallpox, of course, so many Tachichis escaped because their owners died. No one was left to recapture them, so they ran wild for centuries. Until the late 1800s, when Americans came, and they started rounding them up and selling them to Eastern socialites. Dog hunters named them after where they were caught, and a lot came from Chihuahua, Mexico. A dude named James Watson went there and bought one he named Manzanita, probably because of her head, then went to Juarez to buy more dogs, which became champion dogs. In the 1890s, the Mexican president gifted an opera singer named Adelina a bouquet of flowers. It had a Chihuahua in it, so she brought it back to Europe. In 1904, the first Chihuahua was registered with the American Kennel Club. In 1923, the Chihuahua Club of America formed. Popularity grew, and here we are. So when people say Chihuahuas could never survive in the wild, they're wrong, because they did. Thank you.
I think they're adorable.
What if the Tower of Babel was not about a tall building at all? And the Pope seems to think so too. And Hollywood actually told us the ending 25 years ago. Welcome back to episode 9 of Conspiracy Time. And today we're talking about how some of you guys need to watch the movie The Matrix to see exactly how this AI situation is going to end up. Everyone seems to think the story of the Tower of Babel is about pride. But if you actually look at a story in Genesis 11, it says that God, when he saw them building this, was looking down and said, if they realize they can do this, nothing will be impossible. That doesn't sound like pride. That sounds like when humanity comes together and has corrupted intent, that bad things happen and he doesn't like it. Because one thing I know for sure is that pride is a sin, but never once in that story does God say that they're sinning. Fast forward to the movie The Matrix, where humans actually didn't lose the war to machines. They created them, and then they gave them everything they needed, from infrastructure to decisions. Humans got comfortable, and comfortable made them dependent, and that dependence made them controllable. Let's fast forward to 2 days ago, where Pope Leo released a 43,000-word letter to the church talking about the concerns of AI. And his exact words were, we have a pivotal choice now to either create a new Tower of Babel, which would be AI, or we can actually create a society where God and humanity dwell together. So if the Tower of Babel story was just a story of pride, then why would the Pope say that AI could be the new Tower of Babel? It's almost as if the Pope is relating current events to Genesis 11. Here's where we start connecting the dots, because here's what the Matrix, the Tower of Babel, and the UN's AI governance framework all have in common. Advanced technology, one language, one system, and one small group of people deciding how the most powerful technology is going to be used. The Bible said it was dangerous. Hollywood made a horror movie out of it, and now global leaders are saying it's the future. The Matrix movie wasn't a movie about evil robots. It was a movie about humans who outsourced their power until they didn't realize they were in a pod. Just like the Tower of Babel isn't mythology, it's God recognizing what happens when a group of unchecked power gets together with evil intent. And I don't know what your thoughts are, but for me, it seems to be happening all over again, just with better branding. What do you think? Do you think that AI is the next Tower of Babel and Pope Leo is on track, or do you think we're just losing our minds over nothing? All I know is that I recently rewatched the Matrix movie, and if that is the future, I don't want any part of it.
If you thought that this or this were the first scams that the Kardashians had ever run, you'd be sadly mistaken. Because the biggest scam that the Kardashian family ever ran, and one of their first ones, was with this man, Avak Hagopian. Hagopian was a mystic faith healer, an Armenian mystic faith healer from Iran. And he was brought to Los Angeles in 1947 by Grigor Arkelian, who had a sick son, and he wanted someone to heal his son. So he got together with Tom Kardashian and brought this here little mystic to America. Hagopian's scam blew up. Thousands and thousands of people flooded to the Arkelian home in Madeira, California, to see the mystical man and to be healed by him. It didn't work, but it did allow Tom Kardashian to put together this pair right here, Avak Hagopian and William Marion Branham. Yes, this William Branham, who started the cult The Message and who was tied to the KKK. Branham was also essentially the creator of the Latter Rain movement, which was all about Christians combining with Zionists to bring about the end times. With the backing of Tom Kardashian, Avak Hagopian went on the road with not only racist William Branham, but also with racist KKK-endorsed preacher Clem Davies. And this Kardashian scam, sadly, worked and is still working to this very day. And if you want to learn more about this grift, you can head over to Patreon, where I have a growing collection of resources detailing the connection between the Kardashians and a lot of really crazy stuff that was going on in America in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. And this chapter is one of the shadiest of them all.
Love these deep dives on this scam family. Well done.
They're literally drinking blood and eating the flesh of babies. That's the real business in this town. That's how you stay at the top. I'm not crazy. I'm not having some kind of breakdown. I'm just finally telling the truth about what I've come to know. Most of those conspiracy theories that people laugh at online, they're not theories. They're facts. The worst ones are facts. I lost my dear friend Brittany Murphy because she started asking too many questions. She saw things she wasn't supposed to see. She wanted to speak out, and they made sure that never happened. They took her, another victim of the Hollywood Ripper, and then they feasted on her body. Just like they've done to so many others who tried to step out of line.
Oysters are a lot weirder than people realize. First of all, oysters are born male, but they switch sexes up to 60 times in their lives because female bodies are bigger and can produce more eggs. A single female oyster can produce up to 100 million eggs in one season. Oysters filter up to 50 gallons of water per day. That's cool. They consume plankton and whatever else is in our highly polluted oceans. Not cool. They are also alive right before you eat them and only die when separated from their shells. They have existed for 200 million years, which means humans have been eating them since prehistoric times. Ancient Romans farmed oysters and transported them all across their empire. They kept oysters alive during transport using snow. In the 1800s, oysters became cheap and widely available. They were even sold as street food, but overharvesting and pollution reduced their populations, and that's why now they are considered a luxury. The most luxurious thing about oysters is that some of them contain pea crabs. These crabs live inside the oyster their entire lives and are considered good luck to eat. I, however, will be missing out on that luck because I will never be consuming another oyster again. Thank you.
This was
I love oysters.
my face when I heard the news. I'm like numb. Not in the least bit shocked.
Lenny's not such a great person.
If you like Bravo,
Click follow. Jane Doe, a British model that was visiting from London. She was in Miami last year in May of 2025. And she claims that she was raped by Lenny Hochstein, Lisa Hochstein's ex-husband. She was going out in Miami and she said that she was lured in by a younger man who asked her to go party on Star Island, a gated community. And when she arrived, there was no after party, just Lenny. She claims there were a bunch of sexual advances, which she said no to all of them, and he offered her a sleeping pill, which he claimed was melatonin, and she trusted him because he's a doctor. She remembered what the pill looked like and later found out it was Ambien. He's a doctor. He definitely knows what he's doing. In the morning, she said that he tried to have relations with her, and she denied once again and claims that he told her that they had relations the night prior. She said that she had no memories of the events after the sleeping pill until the morning. The British model is suing for sexual battery and intentional infliction of emotional distress and is requesting a trial by jury. And Lenny has spoken and, of course, denied. And what does he do? He asks questions as to why she's doing this now and why she's suing him and why she didn't go to the police right away. He also claims that he has never raped anyone. Well, if you're this confused why a woman would wait so long, you're probably confused about many other things in this category. She was probably advised by her lawyers to go about it this way. Lenny said that he met this woman a year ago and none of this happened. And all of this is happening right after he had Jody and his ex-wife Lisa Hochstein arrested for allegedly recording him. Despite the fact that I never want to see Lenny's face again, and this story is absolutely terrifying, a nightmare, I would have been very interested to see Lisa Hochstein's reaction to all of this. Her accusations and this accusation. Real Housewives of Miami is still not filming, and there are no plans to do so. If they were filming, this would have been a crazy season.
Totally believe her.
I have been waiting for this docuseries to come out today because I just finished binging the podcast. It's called Did You Kill Emma? And it follows one of the most notorious murders in Scotland. On April 6th, 2005, Emma Caldwell went missing, and just a month later, her body was found. If you love documentaries and you're always looking for something to watch, hit follow because I post daily. Emma was a sex worker, and if you listen to true crime, you know how cases like this usually get handled. When investigators started looking into Emma's case, they realized that multiple sex workers had been killed in the years leading up to Emma's disappearance. They started investigating this Turkish cafe where sex workers frequented, and they actually ended up arresting 4 Turkish men. But Emma's case would not be solved until 2024, thanks to the podcast related to this. I'm going to say this documentary does a really quick overview of this case. It is a docu-series and you hear from the podcaster herself, but the podcast is incredible because you're literally hearing this all play out in real time. Sam Poling, who is the host and journalist of the podcast Who Killed Emma, is incredible. This case would not have been solved without her, and she's in the documentary Did You Kill Emma? Have to check both of these out and let me know what you think about this in the comments.
After the assassination, she makes the shocking announcement that she is marrying the Greek shipping magnate Aristotle Onassis.
He literally treats her so much like a possession, but he offers her essentially what almost no other man could, which was real serious economic protection and an escape from kind of the Kennedy dynasty.
She receives $3 million in the marriage, $1 million for each of her children, a $600,000 per year travel budget, and even stipulations around the sexual expectations of the marriage. But, you know, basically immediately the cracks in this union start to show.
He begins a dalliance with Maria Callas, the very famous opera singer.
He sells her out to the press. He lets the press know where she's going to be sunbathing
so
naked.
He has an exhibitionist streak, Aristotle Onassis, because in Maureen's book, she describes that he would leave the door ajar while having sex with Jackie because he wanted, like,
people to see.
He really wants to show off his new trophy wife.
Yeah.
So she just married him for money? Is that why?
Something is not right about this helicopter crash with Oliver Tree. First, I want you to see this video he just made recently.
What's your dream way of dying? So, this sounds fake, but this is actual factual information. So I knew someone. I don't want to say the country because I don't want to get in trouble and I want to be able to go back to that country. But basically, I know someone who was working. His family worked against a specific government in Central America. I can't say the specific country, but he was basically a traitor, and the government found out, and they threw his uncle off of a helicopter into a volcano. I feel like the volcano is just the most classic way to go.
Yeah.
And think about it. How did he die?
Right. But
He fell, or maybe he even jumped. It's like he jumped in a volcano. That sounds epic.
Now, mind you, this crash happened in the southwest zone of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, South America. But there's more. Another big name passed away. They're not really talking about, and that was Gasper Prem, known online as Gaspy. Big time 23-year-old YouTuber from Argentina. Now, Gaspy liked to poke at politics, and we all know how crazy politics are in South America. So I find it very interesting that he was on board when this happened.
Ooh.
Also, a mid-air helicopter collision is very rare. Now, the exact cause of the collision is still under investigation by Brazilian aviation authorities, but something is just not sitting right with me. I mean, I don't know, guys. I don't know.
Oh, man, look at that. We're falling.
We might never know what really happened, but my heart and prayers go out to all of Tree's friends and family, and obviously Gaspy's friends and family. I'm sorry, I'm just seeing a lot of red flags.
Okay, blur.
I genuinely can't stop thinking about what happened to Brooke Phillips. Brooke Phillips was a dancer from Oklahoma who was a fan of the show Cat House. Cat House, if you don't know, was a show on HBO, and it followed the lives of the women who worked at the Moonlight Bunny Ranch. The Moonlight Bunny Ranch is a brothel in Nevada. While Brooke was working at the Moonlight Bunny Ranch, she became pregnant. Later, the owner of the Moonlight Bunny Ranch would claim the child was his, but a lot of people think he was just attention seeking. He would show up at the courthouse after Brooke was later found deceased and try to get all this attention for himself, promote his book. A lot of people thought that was in really bad taste. But Brooke decided to leave the Bunny Ranch and go back home to Oklahoma. Not long after returning to Oklahoma, Brooke was found deceased inside a burned down home with 3 other people.
Ooh.
You can find out what happened on Lethally Blonde tonight on ID. After tonight, you can find it streaming on HBO Max.
What if the Paris catacombs are not what history tells us, but something far more mysterious? Beneath the streets of Paris lies a labyrinth stretching for more than 200 miles. Some sections descend nearly 100 feet below the city. That's the equivalent of driving from New York City to Philadelphia through tunnels lined almost entirely with human bones. And according to official estimates, the remains of more than 6 million people are buried there. But that's where the questions begin. According to the official story, Paris ran out of cemetery space in the late 1700s. So millions of human remains were moved into abandoned limestone quarries beneath the city. But these aren't random piles of bones. They're arranged into enormous walls, perfect geometric patterns, long corridors, and carefully constructed displays stretching for miles underground. Think about the scale of that. 6 million skeletons, each one supposedly excavated, cleaned, sorted, and artistically arranged by hand. Who had the time? Who had the manpower? And why go to such extraordinary lengths in the first place? And Paris isn't the only place. Similar bone chapels and catacombs appear in other parts of the world, built in strangely elaborate ways that continue to puzzle visitors today. According to one theory, these sites may represent something much darker. Not ordinary cemeteries, but the remains of a forgotten civilization. Could these bones be the remains of the citizens of Tartaria? A civilization that some believe was erased.
Everyone has gotten Kourtney Kardashian's psychology wrong, but I have figured it out because she has been called boring, the least interesting Kardashian to look at, lazy, at least if you're speaking about her family members. And then some people online have said, okay, well, is she the scapegoat? Kourtney is actually so much more nuanced, and she isn't the scapegoat, because where Kourtney is very unique is that she is aware of the pattern. She sees the dysfunction inside of this family system, but she does not leave. And in that, Kourtney is always almost free. And this shows up not only in her childhood, in her current place inside of the Kardashian family system, but also in her relationship with Scott and her relationship with Travis. And I break it all down in my new video. It is now live on YouTube.
Do you guys want to know the craziest thing ever? Okay, so we can all admit orbs are a thing. The government's talking about them. Most of you have probably seen them by now in the sky. I'm going to tell you what they have to do with black holes, plasma, and how it affects how you have experiences with other beings of consciousness or other beings of the unconscious or collective unconscious. Like, you have the power This is all about relationship with these things, with beings that visit you, with fucking black holes. Listen. Okay, I wrote a 700-page book on plasma, consciousness, and the new human potential, otherwise known as your magic. And I was thirst trapping, obviously. Okay, so I have crazy pattern recognition.
New Age.
When it comes to plasma. In outer space, a layer of plasma, cold and non-magnetized plasma, surrounds what they think to be wormholes. They also surround black holes, and guess what they fucking do? Wormholes cast a plasma shadow. The more there is plasma, the smaller the shadow is. Sometimes they would not be able to even see a wormhole because the plasma is totally covering it like a two-way mirror. Plasma also alters the way that light bends, or photons. Also, the cosmic object, the wormhole, is literally not only determined by the wormhole, it's also determined by the plasma environment surrounding it. It is feedbacking with it. This is established science. Guess what plasma also surrounds? Think of it as a cold, subtle layer of plasma. So you know how you have an energy field? Like your Torah? Oh my God, I meant your Taurus or your aura or your bioplasma field, they call it. Think about it. If you're a higher dimensional being, if you're an evolved being of consciousness or just any other life form, you're also going to be in a bubble of this subtle plasma, your energy field. And your heart, your electromagnetic field, operates it. So we are surrounded by plasma, and any being that visits us is. Counting the sentient plasma life that's in the sky that guy David Grush just talked about. The orbs are plasmoids. Guess what? They're a layer of plasma distorting what's really visiting us, which might be our higher selves, our future ancestors. It doesn't actually matter. What matters is the relationship you have with it. The rest is a distraction. And now we know plasma distorts. It is the realm of the Maya illusion. So on one level, it reflects your subconscious, but on a deeper level, it holds consciousness, or it can hold information, or what I call the collective unconscious. So a demon that visits you might be your trauma from childhood, or a strange being might be beyond the time and space realm that is like not your part of self, if that makes sense. It is other. The cool thing is you have the power to interact with anything. Nothing can take you over unless you subconsciously let it. And I teach more about this in my magic class. But now we know that plasma distorts the observer, but it also holds something real inside. How it comes to you actually has meaning. Come in plasma if you want to learn more. I teach a live class about it, and I'll send you the link to my book. You have the power. You are love.
Buckle the F up, buttercups. My jaw is sore because it has been on the floor all day long. Have you seen this? There is no cute way to put this. From the very moment I clicked play, it was a wild ride. Because what do you mean you have body cam footage of a woman in her car crying with a newborn baby and the placenta in her lap? It's the real life story of a woman named Taylor Parker who faked her own pregnancy. Now, we have heard this story before. The woman said she gave birth to a baby, and without giving anything away, it's not hers, okay? But the bajillion steps and lies she took to get
She's not even pregnant. I watched the documentary.
to that point is frightening. It is sick. It is twisted. It is horrific. But the way this documentary not only lays out, but describes this woman's sick and twisted plan, I could not take my eyes off the screen. This woman was diabolical. This plan was psychotic, all caps. I don't want to give anything away, but I have to discuss it, okay? I need to talk about the characters. I need to talk about what happened.
The guy is an idiot.
Please, please, please. Has anyone seen this? It is called Maternal Instinct. It's on Netflix. It is only 1 hour, 37 minutes, which I appreciate. Thank you for not breaking this down into a 3 to 4 part series. You know I love a documentary. Rarely I am razzle-dazzled by one, but this had me literally screaming at the TV. What in the actual what do you mean people like this walk amongst us? Please, please, please watch this. Come back and let me know what you think in the comments.
Can we talk about his Amazon purchase history for like 1 second? Because sure, this man had money, but he ordered stuff through Amazon just like everybody else. Not even the most disturbing thing was the girls' school uniforms that he ordered. And a lot of them. We're talking skirts, dresses. We're talking repeated over the course of years, girls and young women's school outfits. A lot of books about psychology and politics. A prostate massager. A lot of binoculars. Like I think they've counted at least 7 so far. ranging from $99 to over $220. Before he was arrested, guess what he ordered? A prisoner costume, along with other costumes. Getting into the really disturbing stuff that there was no way he was using this himself, women's supplements, specifically those for females for tightening. Children's clothing, including toddlers and babies. This man didn't just have baby clothing, but he had toys and other baby supplies sent to his homes like his one in Manhattan. Creeped out yet? Well, here's a doozy. DOJ has found proof of him ordering FBI outfits. It makes sense if he was getting ideas from those psychology books. Apparently, it doesn't take much to put together an outfit to look like a legit agent. No wonder there were so many rumors in his inner circle that he was working for either the FBI or the CIA. If he was buying outfits like this online, all one person would have to do was see one of these outfits hidden in his closet for them to then suspect he was something far more than just the monster that he is.
The baby toys, the baby clothing, the supplements. We are not mad enough.
Theories about how Aunt Gladys became a witch. Nobody quite knows how she got all of her powers, but the prequel called Gladys that's about to come out is going to reveal all of our questions. Let me know what you think she is based on these theories.
Definitely got witch vibes from watching it.
The first idea is that Gladys used to be a human and then she got this deadly disease. In order to stay alive, she turned to dark magic and started feeding on others, kind of like a vampire or a parasite. Another idea is that Gladys might not be human at all. She could be some kind of ancient evil or strange creature that just looks human. Her weird behavior and her odd mismatched appearance kind of hints at this. In this theory, the aunt persona she has is a mask that she wears to appear normal. A very common idea that people have is that Gladys was once trapped like Alex. She was controlled by this sick tree or fungus, and she's now driven by this parasite-like force. Like, you know that kind of fungus that latches onto animals and other, like, plants and infects it and sucks the life out of it? She's like that, but she's a person. And this force makes her spread it all to other people. Gladys might also be a witch who's connected to traditional or Celtic blood magic. She uses items like a blackthorn bush to create human weapons, and in turn, they make her young and powerful. Back when they were making the film Weapons, Amy Madigan was actually given 2 backstory options for her character. The director, Zach Kreger, says he doesn't know which one she picked, but I do think whatever she picked might be influencing how they write the next film. All will be revealed in time. Follow for more freaky.
Or carry-on? Because how many trash bags full of cash do you accept from someone before you start wondering where the money really came from? Now, the FBI report doesn't say exactly why Jolo gave Kim so much cash, but let's just say you don't give someone that much money unless they give you something in return. And some fans have even speculated that it was actually Kris Jenner who may have arranged for Kim to get friendly with Lo and basically her out. Now, speaking of Kris, that's a whole separate rabbit hole. So back in 2009, Kris co-founded her own private church called California Community Church. Of course, she claims it's all about Jesus and community service, but there's been a lot of speculation over the years that Kris founded this church for tax evasion purposes. So apparently, Kris's church is registered as a non-profit charity, but members have to pay $1,000 a month and give 10% of their income as donations. And because it's a charity, the Kardashians get a 10% tax reduction every year, and that monthly fee members pay goes right back into Kris's pocket.
Wow. Trash bags full of money is gangster business.
Unusual True Crime Documentaries Part 2. Lorena gets into the case of Lorena Bobbitt, who cut off her abusive husband's penis. Assassins is about 2 girls who thought they were getting hired for a YouTube prank series when in reality they were being set up to kill a leader of North Korea. This is about a woman who was secretly pregnant numerous times without people knowing, and one time gave birth to the baby and disposed of it. And disposed is like a nice way of saying this. If you love documentaries, hit follow because I post daily and you'll always have something to watch. Love Has Won is one of the most unusual cult documentaries ever made, because in this case, the followers were coerced into abusing the leader, literally to the point where she died. I Love You Now Die covers the case of Michelle Carter, who coerced her boyfriend into taking his own life and whether or not she's guilty of murder. Baby God is about a man who secretly impregnated women with his sperm when they thought that it was the sperm of their partner. Gross. Of course I had to put abducted in plain sight on this because it is highly unusual. This man groomed not only the daughter, but the mom and dad, and abducted the daughter multiple times. Bad Vegan is about a woman who started dating a guy because he said he could make her dog live forever. Honestly, I might fall for that. And then he just scammed her and ruined her life. Tall Hot Blonde is about a guy who starts a relationship with a young girl on the internet. He's having an affair on his wife, of course. And this online affair leads to an insane murder. I don't know why it did this, but it won't fix it. Last but not least, Perfect Wife, the case of Sherry Papini, a lady who staged her own kidnapping, like straight up Gone Girl. Let me know what you think about these in the comments.
Yeah, okay. Don't love the way we're having this conversation right now. And before we have the rest of this conversation, I want to preface it by saying that I think Mackenzie Shirilla is very much where she needs to be. However, this conversation about her being a prostitute, about being a sex worker, I think some of you guys are missing some perspective. Specifically, that when Mackenzie was allegedly acting as a sex worker, she was a minor. 17 at least, possibly even younger, depending on how long this was going on. And remember, minors can't consent, even if they have personality disorders. And I think we need to remember that usually when you see a teenager with this kind of extreme compulsive sexual behavior, there's usually an underlying reason for that, like 8 times out of 10. And there's research on this, right? Like usually when you have a child who is expressing compulsive, dangerous, hypersexual behavior, it's like learned, it's part of a pattern, it's a sign of trauma. Let's go with it. Mackenzie was working as a sex worker at 17 years old. Who was enabling and empowering that? Who? Because a 17-year-old isn't doing this in a vacuum, right? So how was that being enabled? How was that being empowered? Who was purchasing her? I'm sure by and large, it wasn't other 16 and 17-year-olds, was it? Was it? Since she had a 20-something-year-old drug-dealing boyfriend? So I'm not saying that this redeems this person in any way, shape, or form. It does not absolve them of what they've done. But I think maybe if the 17-year-old was working as a sex worker, we need to be looking at the warm milk providing adults around her. Because something in the buttermilk ain't clean.
4 celebrities with sexually transmitted diseases. Number 1, Pamela Anderson. Pamela Anderson revealed she contracted hepatitis C during her marriage to Tommy Lee. She later admitted the disease caused years of fear, emotional stress, and painful health struggles behind closed doors. Number 2, Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen shocked Hollywood after publicly announcing he was HIV positive following years of rumors connected to his partying lifestyle, escorts, and controversial relationships. Number 3, Khloe Kardashian. Khloe Kardashian openly discussed suffering from herpes-related cold sores and admitted the condition became emotionally exhausting because of nonstop public attention and online criticism. Number 4, Greg Louganis, Olympic legend. Greg Louganis revealed he was HIV positive after hiding the diagnosis for years out of fear and shame. His confession later became one of the biggest celebrity health stories ever.
The horrifying origins of some of your favorite Disney films. Number 1, Snow White. In the original, the queen hunted Snow White so she could eat her lungs and liver. Then Snow White marries the prince, and at their wedding, she forces the queen to put on red-hot iron shoes and dance until she dies. Also in the original, Snow White was only 7. Number 2, Mulan. When Mulan goes back home, her father is dead and her mom has a new man. Then the king summons her to become his mistress, so she unalives herself instead. Number 3, Hercules. In the original, he goes crazy and kills Meg and his kids. And then he bangs a bunch of women and men. Number 4, Pinocchio. In the original Pinocchio, he kills Jiminy Cricket with a hammer. He's also hung at some point. Number 5, Pocahontas, real name Matoaka. She never got with John Smith. She actually married a warrior when she was 14. Then the colonizers unalived him and took their child. And she was kidnapped and assaulted multiple times by multiple people. And she had to marry another guy named John to form an alliance between natives and colonizers. She was forced to convert to Christianity and renamed Rebecca. Then at 21, she was poisoned during dinner and died. Number 6, Hunchback. Esmeralda's accused of being a witch and hung at the end. Then Quasimodo dies of starvation because he won't leave her grave. Number 7, Lion King, which is based on Hamlet. Everybody dies at the end, including Simba. Thank you.
What? Hey, but the Pocahontas story is wild.
So Rupert files for divorce in 2013, and the moment that marriage ended, a very specific story started being told about Wendy Deng. First came the Tony Blair allegations. Wendy was 45 when this occurred, by the way. Rupert reportedly became convinced that something had happened between Wendy and Blair, who was the godfather of their daughter Grace. He ended a decades-long friendship over it, reportedly interrogated staff at his own properties. Blair denied, Wendy denied it. A staff reportedly found a diary entry where Wendy was describing and admiring Tony Blair's anatomy. So then Rupert believed it enough to cut off one of the most powerful politicians in the world, and also divorce his wife. Then came the Putin rumors. Reports emerged that Wendy and Vladimir Putin, one of the most guarded and paranoid men on the planet, had struck up some kind of romance. She told Vogue she had never even met him. The story ran everywhere anyway. And then in 2018 came the most serious allegation of all. U.S. counterintelligence officials reportedly warned Jared Kushner that Wendy, who was close friends with Ivanka Trump, may be working on behalf of the Chinese government. The specific concern, she had allegedly been pushing a $100 million Chinese-funded project to build a garden at the National Arboretum in Washington, and officials suspected a tower in the design could be used to conduct surveillance on the White House and Congress. She was never charged, never formally investigated, but the story was everywhere. And that story was published in the Wall Street Journal, which is also owned by Rupert Murdoch. Jake Cherry was 50 and married. He left his wife. Rupert Murdoch was 67 and had been married for 31 years. He restructured his entire empire and then divorced her anyway. Tony Blair allegedly risked his entire reputation, and Putin allegedly couldn't stay away. And the US government considered her a national security threat. A Chinese woman from a factory town remakes herself completely, not once, but multiple times. No connections, no family money, no famous last name, just whatever it factor she has. She uses every tool available to her: beauty, intelligence, boldness, access. So I'll ask you the same question I asked at the beginning of the series. Is it beauty? Is it her personality? Or is it something else entirely? Because behind every successful man is a woman, and women tend to be the kryptonite of every man, no matter how powerful they are.
It's not beauty or personality. It's her communication skills.
Thank you so much for watching.
Jason Moss was just 18 years old, a college student, when he decided to become pen pals with some of America's most notorious serial killers. Jason was doing this for his college thesis. He wanted to try to get into the mind of a serial killer, making himself into the perfect victim in his letters. He wrote to people like Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, Charles Manson, who had his own letterhead, and even Jeffrey Dahmer, who asked Jason for magazine subscriptions as well as a photo of himself. But the one that Jason got the closest with, the one you could even say he had a weird friendship with, was serial killer John Wayne Gacy, or you may know him as the Killer Clown. John was convicted of killing 33 young men. 26 of those were found in a crawl space under his home. And Jason started his letters to Gacy with the intention of pretending to be Gacy's perfect victim, thinking that he would be able to protect himself and his mind from this man as long as he wasn't himself. And Jason soon believed that Gacy was falling for this ploy as they continued writing back and forth to each other. One day, Gacy even called Jason at home. Now, this was weird to Jason because he'd never given Gacy his number. But soon this phone call became a weekly thing, to the point that Gacy started to insist that Jason come and visit him in prison. And when Jason was just 19 years old, he flew from Nevada to Illinois to meet Gacy. Now, Jason had been under the impression that this would be a very Silence of the Lambs type meeting. That just like Clarice Starling, he would get the answers that he wanted about how the mind of a serial killer worked. However, once Jason arrived and was meeting with Gacy, he realized how out of control the situation was from his own hands. Jason claimed that Gacy had paid the guards off to leave him alone with Jason, and that during his first visit with Gacy, Gacy had aggressively come on to him. Jason felt threatened and did leave, but he came back the next day because he just didn't want to be proven wrong and he didn't want this trip to have been for nothing. Next day, he went back for his second meeting with Gacy, and they took this photo together, and Gacy showed him what he would do to a lot of his victims before he murdered them. Ugh. Jason was rightfully terrified. He left, never saw Gacy again, and cut off all contact with him. Gacy was executed in 1994 at the age of 52, and Jason went on to become a criminal attorney and had his own firm. He would even write a memoir about his experiences of writing to some of the most dangerous people in the world, entitling the book The Last Victim, claiming that he was actually John Wayne Gacy's final victim. Title almost prophetic because Jason Moss, at the age of 31, on June 6, 2006, would unalive himself, leaving so many to wonder why and why on that date.
Casey was gone, but it was clear to me he was still very much with Jason.
Casey won, and although he's been executed, he's always going to be a part of my mind. If I knew then what I know now, I would never have done it. Never have even written the first letter.
You don't want Hannibal Lecter inside your head.
How does a 13-year-old go missing in 1994 and then is found 32 years later, casually living her life with her husband and kids in 2026? For over 3 decades, investigators and the public was convinced that she was kidnapped and most likely deceased. But it turns out that she was alive and well, living in a different state. This is the case of 13-year-old Christina Marie Plant, who went missing in May 1994 when she left her house to go to a horse stable that was only a few minutes away. It turns out that she never made it to the stable, and there were never any real leads, no witnesses. She just disappeared. Throughout these 32 years, investigators looked into the case several times, but they never found anything new until this year. But here's the thing, Christina was never kidnapped or hurt. She left willingly, changed her identity, and never spoke to anyone again. When investigators found out that she left on her own, they were obviously confused, but also she wouldn't give them much information about who helped her and why she vanished. I mean, investigators kind of have an idea of who may have been involved in helping her disappear, but at this point, there's really not much they can do about that for a few reasons. I actually just uploaded a full YouTube video if you want to know the details of this crazy story.
How does one of the biggest womanizers in American history marry a woman who is willing to burn everything down that he built? I'm going to call it karma, but let's get into it. Crystal Hefner is the wife of the late Hugh Hefner, man who made millions selling pictures of women's bodies. But then she found out he was keeping scrapbooks, and not scrapbooks of his business. Scrapbooks and diaries containing such disgusting material of women who very obviously are intoxicated and what she believes may even be underage children, that she is now demanding Hugh Hefner Foundation be investigated. Same foundation who has defending civil liberties and rights to promote and advance individual freedoms with very strong imagery on their homepage. The reason she is now coming out publicly demanding an investigation is while she was a part of the foundation, she tried protecting everyone inside of those scrapbooks and diaries. Because she refused to drop it, they pushed her out of the foundation. Now that she has made this public, she's making it crystal clear what she found inside of those scrapbooks. I am not referring to images that appear in magazines. My focus is on the Hugh Hefner's personal scrapbooks, chronicled private moments that were taken behind closed doors. Photos, videos, and diaries that span to the beginning of the 1960s. Many images of girls who were underage at the time, including images of women who did not consent to their images being taken in the first place, including images taken while these victims were intoxicated. When Hugh Hefner's wife was trying to fight this battle to protect these victims behind closed doors, the foundation had a bunch of excuses, alleging that a lot of the scrapbooks were in different residents, explaining that they were simply just a piece of history, of which is acceptable for the women and girls victimized in those books. Hugh Hefner's wife went on to say that I am seeking dignity, safety, and the destruction of non-consensual, intimate material so that the exploitation does not continue under the banner of philanthropy. Just to make it crystal clear, she added, women's bodies are not property, not history, and not collectibles.
Did you guys ever wonder why Satan was played by a woman in The Passion of the Christ? When this movie came out, this was the first thing that stuck out to me. So let's talk about it. Mel Gibson
I thought the baby was the Satan.
chose Rosalinda Celentano to play the role of Satan. And according to him, the reason he chose a woman over a man was because he wanted Satan to appear androgynous, seductive, unsettling, and deceptive. Traditional Christian belief says that Lucifer was once an angel in heaven. He is often depicted as one of the most beautiful beings that God ever created. But because of his rebellion, he was cast out of heaven and eventually became known as Satan. And according to the Bible, angels are described as spiritual beings without biological sex. Even though they're often referred to by masculine names like Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael, they're never specifically described as a man or a woman. So not only did Mel Gibson want to play into this, but he also wanted to play into the idea of deception. He wanted the viewers to feel confused and uncomfortable, just like the enemy confuses people and distorts the truth. So to achieve that, he shaved her eyebrows off and gave her a sickly pale appearance. He altered her voice so she sounded like a man, even though she was a woman. The result was a character that felt unnatural, So every time Satan appeared on the screen, it left viewers feeling like something wasn't right. Then there's a scene of Satan holding a baby, which is meant to mock the image of the Virgin Mary holding Jesus. And what was even creepier was how they made this baby look. According to Mel Gibson, it was meant to represent the perversion of innocence, and just the idea that evil often disguises itself in things that appear harmless. The baby was meant to look familiar at first glance, but the longer you look at it, the more disturbing it becomes. I just thought that this was really interesting, and I can tell that he was very intentional with every detail when making this film.
You're gonna miss who you were before you watch this video, so if you have a weak stomach, just keep scrolling. Okay, this is Mr. Hands, Kenneth Pinion. He died from taking it up the rear from a horse. Let's get into it. You guys know I like to hyperfixate on like random facts that I probably shouldn't and don't want to know, so naturally I have to bring it to you. So Kenneth, and this is James Michael Todd, I believe. He's a truck driver. Kenneth here got into a motorcycle accident years before the incident. He lost like a whole bunch of sensation in his body, so he was doing like extreme crazy things to get it back. How he came upon this idea, I'm not really sure. But he joins a community of like-minded folk that also would like to take it up the rear from multiple different animals. So he and Mr. Tate here, and one other guy, I don't know his name, they break into a neighbor's farm in Washington. They target a horse that they like to call Big D. It was in fact big because it was 3 feet long. At that point, that Kenneth says, challenge accepted. He bends on over and he, sorry, we're not making jokes about this. He bends over, it happened. It happens. He does it. Instantly perforated colon. Instantly. Obviously, he's in excruciating pain. He doesn't want to go to the hospital because he will then have to explain to them why he has a 3-foot-long hole in his colon. So he doesn't go until it gets like really critical, and then the other two guys are like, bro, you gotta go to the hospital. We can't help you here, buddy. We can't. So they drop him off at the hospital, flee the scene, of course, because they didn't want to be found out. He actually succumbs to his injuries. It's too late at that point. Maybe he would have been able to be sewn up or saved if he had gone in a little earlier, but that wasn't the case. The police end up looking at his ID, tracking down the other people, and at that point actually was not criminalized enough for James Michael Tate to be charged for that. Yeah. So he was just charged for trespassing. They found 200 other tapes in like, I don't know where they kept them, but they found the tapes of the rest of the community doing the same kinds of things. So yeah, you didn't need to know it, but I told you anyway. I think that's all for Dark History for tonight. Make sure you like and follow and comment down below what you think.
Mackenzie Cirillo is probably one of the most alarming, complex individuals I've done an analysis on in a long time. I know a lot of people are really alarmed by her body language and her psychology, so I'm going to be breaking down exactly that with some of the red flags that I noticed, but I'm letting you know now I am not a black and white kind of person. I see everything with spiritual eyes. I have a lot of spiritual discernment, so today I'm going to kind of go over the body language and psychology and some of the spiritual oppression, the demonic oppression, and potential bloodline curses and generational curses that are on her and her family, and a lot of this is going to be very disturbing. Of course, all this is alleged and based on my own opinion, but buckle up because this shit's about to get wild. Now, the first term that I want to discuss with you all is called enmeshment. Now, the dynamic between Mackenzie and her mother is deeply disturbing, and a lot of people are focused on what Mackenzie has said in her interview, but I think a lot of more eyes need to be on the fact that her mother and her have had a secret coded language that they speak fluently in for years. So it's got me like, the question isn't what are they hiding from police? It's what the fuck have they been hiding their whole lives? Because why in the hell would you have a secret language? To keep it short and sweet, enmeshment is basically when a parent is overly involved in their child's life, have a toxic understanding of healthy boundaries. What is so disturbing about this enmeshment dynamic is why would Natalie want to have a private world reality with her daughter? And I'm going to be honest, my imagination has kind of ran wild with that.
And I never told my side of the story.
Classic case of infantilization. The inward crossing of her arms is an indication that she's intentionally appearing to be inferior. Also, the controlled monotone tone, and the way she keeps batting her eyes downward in this scene, to me, classic sociopathy, intentionally trying to appear docile. Infantilization is basically where the individual is trying to make it seem like they are inferior, they're docile, they are not capable of committing a crime or doing anything evil or heinous. When she's asked about arguing with Dom, she gives this little smirk with the left side of her face. This is huge. In my opinion, this is her body's involuntary response to reliving the adrenaline from the arguments. And the reason why this is so concerning is because, in my opinion, Mackenzie's baseline, based on everything that I've watched, her left side of her face is what seems to be her acceptance side. And the right side of her face seems to be how she responds with dismissive denial. Basically, things that she approves of, she responds with her left, and things that she does not approve of, she responds with her right. And that smirk, to me, is almost synonymous with someone reliving a happy memory. And if you're reliving and enjoying the adrenaline you got off of arguments, that is a clear indication that you're a sociopath. I think this family is heavily involved in witchcraft. If the father isn't, I'll give him grace. He might not be. He may just be ignorant to it. But this mother and this daughter dynamic are very dark. It's very demonic. And I'm going to explain to you what I think Mackenzie's attempt was in this crash. Now, we have all heard the clip where Mackenzie and her mom are on the phone and they're talking about how the news has broadcasted this all the way in England, and they're basically rejoicing about it.
It was public. This man didn't just create the Power Rangers. He's also one of the biggest donors to the IDF, also known as the Israel Defense Force. And his name can be found in Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book. His name is Haim Saban, and he makes political donations in the billions of dollars, who openly states that he's a one-issue guy and that one issue is Israel. Haim Saban's name was also found in Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book, and his wife was photographed with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell on multiple occasions. This is also a man who used offshore tax shelters to dodge over $200 million in taxes. He was also accused of stealing songwriting credits from composers, was even banned from SAG for financial exploitation of child actors on his show Power Rangers. So it's fair to say that he has a questionable past. But more recently, he's using his massive political influence through campaign contributions to push the United States to bomb Iran if the United States reaches any agreement with Iran that is only beneficial to the United States and not Israel. But my question to you is this: should a man who is funding a foreign military, especially a military who is being accused of war crimes, be allowed to give billions of dollars to political candidates in American politics, especially while he admits that his single most important issue is Israel? And did his connection with Jeffrey Epstein have anything to do with his desire for influence in United States politics? Tell me what you think in the comments below.
He also stole the Power Rangers from Japanese anime.
I mean, it's just really quite simple. If you support a politician, you, under normal circumstances, should have access to be able to share opinions and try to help them see your point of view. That's what access grants you. And the contribution and the financial support grants you the access. So, I mean, those that give more have more access, and those that give less have less access. It's a simple math, trust me.
Celebrities whose children destroyed their legacy. Lawrence Fishburne. His daughter Montana announced she was doing adult films to build a career, like Kim Kardashian. Morpheus had to watch his daughter become an adult star. Jackie Chan. His son JC was arrested in Beijing for drug possession. Under Chinese law, he faced the death penalty. Jackie told the press he was ashamed and refused to help him. JC spent 6 months in a Chinese prison. Jackie also publicly admitted he was an absent father who cheated on his wife and fathered a daughter he refused to acknowledge for years. Will Smith, one of the biggest movie stars on the planet. His son Jaden told the world he wanted to be legally emancipated from his parents at 15. His daughter, Willow, posted a photo in bed with a 20-year-old man when she was 13. Then Will destroyed his own legacy by slapping Chris Rock on live television in front of the entire world. Tom Hanks, his son Chet, has been arrested multiple times, accused of abusing girlfriends, and speaks in a fake Jamaican accent. America's favorite dad raised Hollywood's most embarrassing son.
How is Joe Biden not on this?
I think I found out why Mackenzie Shirella always asked for warm milk every night. Buckle up. So remember how she allegedly had mushrooms on her? Ever heard of mushroom milk? This is a real thing. So it's made by infusing mushrooms into warm milk, people, to extract the active compounds for a trippy edible experience. This goes against old folklore claiming milk ruins the effects of mushrooms. Many sources says it works well and tastes better than plain tea. Microdosing anyone? Now, I'm not going to give you the recipe on how it's actually made, but you have to warm the milk. Interesting. And to me, it always looked apparent that the dad was like the cool dad, you know? He also seems very knowledgeable in the DRUG field. He knew a lot about what these kids were up to. So this wouldn't surprise me. Now, what's interesting is I heard a jail call between Mackenzie and her mother, and she said she wanted to stretch her mind and she needed pens and paper. Now, the core meaning of that refers to pushing beyond your usual mental habits, assumptions, or comfort zone. Similar to physically stretching a muscle to increase flexibility and strength, stretching your mind builds mental agility, creativity, openness to new ideas, and cognitive growth. This chick needs her warm milk. It's all starting to make sense.
There is something very dark about Mackenzie's relationship with her parents. The court found text messages between her and her father very late at night asking for milk. And these texts occur like every single night for 2 years from 11 to 3 a.m. Almost all of them take place in the middle of the night, but there are a couple, like 1 or 2, that take place around 10 a.m. But you can literally see it here, January 4th, 2020 at 2 a.m. He doesn't see the text for a couple hours, and then he asks if she still wants milk, and she doesn't answer. I'm seeing people, and this is all alleged, think that milk is a code word for something, and it makes sense. We found out that she was on the phone with her mom speaking in this code that turned out to be Carney. So what if there are other code words in this house that we don't know about? And the really scary part about that is, what do they mean? Now, I did hear that in Ohio, where she's from, it's very common to drink warm milk at night when you can't fall asleep. But then it's like, why can't you get your own milk? Why would you assume that your father is awake to then go and get you the milk? Why would he be up waiting to get you milk? I mean, maybe he really is just her bitch, but like, does he not sleep? And then another really weird, creepy thing about it is that she always tells him in these texts when he comes into her room to make sure he's quiet. But it's just milk. What is she hiding? She's never cared about her mom before, and you're telling me now she wants to make sure her mom gets a good night's sleep? Another thing, though, that could explain why it's so secretive is I have heard that when you're tripping, warm milk will calm you down. Now, I can't speak on this because I don't do any of that, but this is coming from a girl whose father gave her a bong at 14 years old and who openly in a Netflix documentary was like, yeah, I let my kid smoke weed. But she seems used to that substance. So, like, was it something else? And that's why it was a secret? I do not know. I have more to say about this weird household, though. Part 2 is already up. Also, hi, I'm Grace. Can I be your true crime girly?
This man orchestrated the rape of his wife from over 50 men, and when news came out about this, the world went crazy. I had heard about this case, but I didn't know the details until I saw this documentary. In 2020, Dominique Pellicott was caught taking photos up the skirts of women in grocery stores. One of these women went to police, and police opened an investigation, and what they found was unbelievable. If you love documentaries, hit follow because I post daily and you'll always have something to watch. Police seized Dominique's devices where they found a folder titled Abuse, which contained footage of his own wife being raped by strangers while unconscious. Dominique and his wife had been together for over 50 years, and he had been making her meals every night, which he had been drugging, and she started to think that she had Alzheimer's because she was losing these massive chunks of time. And during these periods, he would go online and find men in the area who would then come to the house and assault her while she was totally unconscious. And because Dominique filmed all of this, they knew who all the men were, and Giselle went and testified against every single one of them. Bravery of this woman, such an inspiration, and this documentary is crazy. There's so much more I haven't said here that I don't want to ruin. Go check this out and let me know what you think about this in the comments.
God, Elon didn't sacrifice his firstborn son in a satanic trade for money and power. He's not like Angelina Jolie and Dwayne Wade. They had to pay cover to get in the club. Elon made it all on his own. And he's not like the normal people who do it for free, like some cargo cult. Elon's on our team. When Elon wears the Baphomet symbol, it's an inside joke with us. And when his mother did it, she was joking too. He's on our side. And he said so himself through the media companies, including the one he controls. What's next? Rupert Murdoch's a bad guy. Oh, the guy from Citizen Kane? Come on, Rosebud. He loved a fucking sled. He's a good guy. What Elon said is that his firstborn son disobeyed his strict right-wing, pro-free speech, nationalistic upbringing to voluntarily chop off his wee-wee, and Elon's not happy about it. They don't even talk anymore. Yes, the result is the same as when all the other celebrities sacrifice their children on the altar of Satanism. But Elon's not like all the other celebrities.
Enjoy hell, you Hollywood demon.
I almost turned this documentary off. I was so disgusted by the things I was hearing. And honestly, I'm a little surprised that more people don't talk about this documentary, but I think it's simply that a lot of people just haven't seen it. I'm talking about the Woody Allen documentary that gets into the allegations of him molesting children. Let me just give you a brief overview of this documentary. If you love documentaries, hit follow because I post daily and you'll always have something to watch. And you might hate me for it because this is messed up. Woody Allen gets together with Mia Farrow and becomes like a father figure to her 9 children. One of which is biologically his, and the youngest one he gets freakishly obsessed with and essays her.
Allegedly.
She tells her story in this documentary and it's very hard to listen to. After 10 years of them being together, Mia finds explicit photos of her oldest daughter, Suni. Because of this, Mia and Woody Allen split up, and Woody Allen goes on to marry her daughter Suni in 1997, and they've been together ever since, and they have children of their own now. Suni marries her sister's rapist and her mom's ex. That means that Suni's kids with Woody are Mia's grandkids. That means that the girl who was assaulted by Woody is the aunt and stepsister to his kids, to her kids.
Sick.
And Woody had one biological kid with Mia, remember? So that means that Suni is the sister to that kid and also the stepmom. Oh yeah, and side note, here's Woody Allen and Suni hanging out with their best friend Jeffrey Epstein. These two are all over the Epstein files. Suni had sent many emails to Epstein. Some of them are pretty offensive, and Woody Allen said he's not sorry about his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein because I guess they were besties.
Yes, she was hot. Yes, she had a bunch of husbands. But if you think that's all there is to Elizabeth Taylor's story, holy shit, are you ever wrong. I'm Mel Z. I talk about death, true crime, and dark pop culture lore. So if you're a weirdo too, follow me. Elizabeth Rosamond Taylor was born February 27th, 1932 in London, England. Her eyes were naturally blue, but so intensely blue that they often appeared violet. She also had a rare genetic mutation that gave her double rows of eyelashes. When World War II broke out, her family moved to California. At just 12 years old, she became a star with the 1944 film National Velvet. Taylor successfully made the transition from child star to serious actress, starring in films like Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Suddenly Last Summer, and Butterfield 8. She won her first Academy Award for Butterfield 8 in 1961. Then came Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf in 1966, a role many critics still consider her greatest performance of her career. It earned her a second Oscar and cemented her status as one of the most respected actresses of her generation. Taylor was married 8 times to 7 different men. She had 4 children and remained close friends with several of her ex-husbands throughout her life. Then in 1958, her third husband, producer Mike Todd, was killed when his private plane crashed. Taylor was devastated. While grieving, she started a relationship with Eddie Fisher, who happened to be married to Debbie Reynolds, one of Taylor's closest friends. Then came Richard Burton. While filming Cleopatra in 1962, Taylor and Burton started an affair despite the fact that they were both married to other people. The scandal was international. Politicians criticized them, paparazzi followed them everywhere, and the Vatican even condemned them. They married, divorced, remarried, then divorced again. Throughout her life, she endured dozens of surgeries and suffered with chronic pain. In 1961, she nearly died of pneumonia and underwent an emergency tracheotomy. One news agency even mistakenly reported her death before she'd recovered. She later struggled with addiction, including alcohol and prescription medication. Eventually, she entered rehab at the Betty Ford Center. There, she met her final husband, construction worker Larry Fortensky. The two married at Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch in 1991. After losing her close friend, actor Rock Hudson, and many other friends and colleagues to AIDS, Taylor became determined to use her fame to fight the epidemic. At a time when many public figures refused to even discuss HIV/AIDS, Taylor testified before Congress, pushed politicians to take the crisis seriously, and helped raise hundreds of millions of dollars for research, treatment, and patient care. And then there was perfume, which is what I remember of Elizabeth Taylor. Her line became wildly successful. Everyone's mom had a bottle of white diamonds in the 90s. On March 23, 2011, Elizabeth Taylor died at the age of 79 from complications related to congestive heart failure. This story had far too many bizarre details to include in just one short-form video, so the rest of it is on my Patreon. What do you think? Are you a fan?
It's a legend.
Tell me that we're in different timelines without telling me that we're in different timelines. I'll do you one better. Why are there pictures going around claiming that Willow Smith had a baby? Now, and I'm going to say this. This could be 100% AI, but I went down a rabbit hole. Went to Google, and Google said that in September 2025, Willow Smith gave birth to a baby. Somebody got to be messing with that machine, man. Because if this shit is true, I don't remember seeing Willow Smith pregnant. The last time I saw any news about Willow Smith, she was out with her brother Jaden, and paparazzi walked up, and she walked off. And the time before that was this shit right here.
So dense.
It was
Y'all
this.
forgot funny existed.
Mind you, this was around September 2025.
Y'all is like molasses. Slow.
What? And then after that, she said, who ate all the cootie Bob? Shit, I'm still trying to find that out too. Who ate it? How did that 1 + 1 make 2? Because this shit don't make no sense right here. And I know what y'all gonna say. No timeline switch. Ain't nothing happened. She just had a baby. But when? When did she have that baby? Because if this ain't AI, then we jump timelines. Again.
So many people, they want to see the video of her saying this, right? Because we don't want to believe that this can be true. And I understand. But I'm here to tell you right now, if you see her commercial for the kids' clothing line that she started, it may get your wheels turning just a bit. Check it out.
It's okay, it's okay. I'm Celine Dion. Our children, they are not really our children, as we are all just links in a never-ending chain that is life. For us, they are everything. But in reality, we are only a fraction of their universe. I can't believe they called security. I'm not spending the night in jail. Holy shit. Oh, easy. Celine Dion. Yeah, girl, and I'm Beyonce. I'm calling my agent.
And yeah, bro, she wasn't looking weird and demonic AF in this video either. And I'm just reaching and grifting and cloud chasing, right? Watch it and you tell me.
She's not. I can't talk too much about Jesus because I was you're a song for me too. Thanks. See, piece this together. First of all, that's how she did mine. I'm just saying, she did a great job. I love her. We have so much, but it should have been mine. Lauren did. So much that I love. Oh, that's so much. Guy Sebastian. Guy Sebastian, do you write songs for other people? Angelica? Eddie? One of my twin. His favorite band is Metallica.
And no, man, there's nothing evil or demonic about her whatsoever, right? And dressing the kids up in schools, black outfits, and all-seeing eyes. Weird. And look at this kid. He doesn't even look like he has a soul himself. Or he doesn't look happy, that's for sure. If you really need more than this, and you don't think this is demonic, then you obviously are completely disconnected from anything. So, take it or leave it. And you don't think this is weird looking? You think that this is all normal? Then you may need to check yourself a little bit before coming after my comment section, maybe. I don't know, bro. And is it weird that Epstein was going to come and view her $30 million mansion? Probably not, right? Has nothing to do with anything. So like I always say, you can take me or you can leave me. You can hate me or you can love me. but I'm here to tell you right now that there's more going on than what you think. And you can tell me whether you believe that this is some kind of human stiffness disease, or is this genuine kuru, or is it something in between? Are they running out of adrenochrome? Who knows, right? And I just make everything up so I can get everyone's attention and so I can ruin your day. So you guys let me know what you think. Much love. See you next time.
I bet she sold many of the kids to Epstein.
These are products that are made from the human body. So a brand called Human Leather in the UK uses legally donated skin from cadavers to create wallets and belts, though many people question the ethics of it. Egyptian brown paint, also called mummy brown, was made by grinding up ancient Egyptian mummies, and this was actually used as the official color all the way up until 1960 when the color man ran out of mummies. In 2007, an eco-boat circumnavigating the globe came up with lipodiesel, which converted 2 gallons of human fat donated by the crew members to fuel by transforming their triglycerides. The placentas of mothers are encapsulated and sold by companies as a dietary pill to help with postpartum recovery, and some will actually prepare it fresh as food and serve it as a meal. Many modern beauty products actually use it as a serum or cream as well because of the nutrients that it contains. And finally, scientists have created bulletproof vests and medical sutures from human silk by splicing collagen into silkworms. That's crazy.
Oprah Winfrey is one of the largest suppliers in the system. She supplies for rituals. It's my full belief that not only is she supplying children, which is part of why she's so interconnected, especially in Africa, school systems with the girls, that they're away from home for the majority of the year. The times that they're home are right after the equinoxes, which when you understand how the rituals work, you know, in those schools, they impregnate the girls and then they'll deliver the babies 6 months early and they'll ritually kill them. And then the girls will go home for whatever time it is, and nobody knows any better that they've been used or impregnated or anything. So beyond that, Oprah is highly involved with animal trafficking. She basically prostitutes animals, especially orangutans, monkeys, all sorts of creatures, for ritual use.
Man.
What is that supporting? It's supporting bestiality.
Imagine you're an author who became famous from writing a book about your real experience surviving 2 serial killers who broke into your house and forced you to be their human doll. But as you're promoting your book, you get a call from your sister who also survived that experience with you. Both of you were forced by these deranged killers to pretend to be their human dolls. But your sister never really recovered or moved on from the trauma. In fact, she still lives in that same house with your mom, the house that those killers broke into all those years ago. You moved away and eventually became a successful author, but now your sister is begging you to come home over the phone. You've avoided coming home for a very long time, choosing instead to deal with what happened with writing your book. But fearing for your sister's safety and her mental health, you finally agreed to return to the place where it all happened. And that's when you discover the worst has yet to come. The home invasion, the 2 killers, and the room full of dolls was only just the beginning. There's something else lurking in the corners of the place that you once called home. Something so dark and twisted that your mind buried it deep. And it's just waiting for you to come back. This is one of my favorite horror movies, and I've kind of been waiting for an excuse to recommend it again. Before I tell you the name of this movie, make sure to follow for more horror and movie content. This is Incident in a Ghostland, or sometimes known as just Ghostland. It's by the same director who made Martyrs from 2008, and if you've seen that movie, then you kind of already know what to expect. Incident in a Ghostland is incredible. It already has such a riveting setup, but the plot twist makes it so much better. This movie is pretty much 10s across the board, and if you haven't seen it, then I can confidently say that you're missing out. So check out this movie if you haven't yet, and follow for more.
Let's talk about one of the most disturbing cases in Mexican TV history, the Mexican House of Horrors. In 1947, in Zamora, Michoacan, activist Rosa Verduzco, aka Mama Rosa, would open a group home called La Gran Familia, aka The Great Family, housing hundreds of homeless kids and teenagers, providing them with food, shelter, and community in hopes of providing them a second chance. However, on July 17th, 2014, after several strange and disturbing reports coming from runaways of the home, the Mexican Army would raid La Gran Familia and make some of the most shocking and vile discoveries in Mexican history, with TV Azteca getting exclusive access to enter and revealing not only 40 rat and maggot infested rooms that would house over 20 children each, but even worse, children and teens that were housed at the facility would allege that they were tortured and essayed, including them being made to go out into the streets to ask for money, being electrocuted in sensitive areas with wires from the walls, and being forced to eat worms. There was even a tiny cement room where kids would be sent called El Pinocho, where they'd be placed and shackled if they behaved badly.
Este cuarto era el cuarto de castigo, conocido para los niños como el Pinocho. Aquí, al momento del operativo, se rescataron 2 niños, los cuales tenían amarrados, encadenados y con cortadas.
There was basically over 500 kids living at La Gran Familia in worse than jail living conditions. And unfortunately, many kids went missing under the care of Mama Rosa, leading investigators to look in nearby fields for these missing children. Mama Rosa ended up being let go due to being too old and mentally unfit, and tried to explain to Univision that a lot of these kids were involved in bad things, and that those that are angry at her for feeding them expired food just have more money because she's eaten expired food for over 80 years. Now, Rosa Verduzco is roaming free in Mexico, with sources saying that she's thinking of reopening the home, and people protesting in her defense, saying that the allegations are all false. Listen, judging by how the home was found and the conditions that a lot of these kids were found in, I really hope her reopening is not the case. If you're in Zamora, Michoacan, ten cuidado and please stay safe out there.
People who were killed for knowing too much. The last one will blow your mind. Number 1, Hilda Merle. A British rose grower and anti-nuclear activist was abducted from her home in 1984 and found stabbed to death in a field. Her nephew was a naval intelligence officer who had access to classified Falklands War documents. The official investigation stalled for decades. In 2003, a man was convicted, but the full story of who ordered the killing and why has never been officially established. Number 2, Karen Silkwood, a nuclear plant worker who was gathering evidence of safety violations at a Kerr-McGee plutonium facility in Oklahoma. In 1974, she was driving to meet a journalist with documents when her car ran off the road and she was killed. The documents were never found. The journalist was waiting. The car showed signs of being run off the road. The official ruling was a single car accident. Number 3, Michael Hastings, an investigative journalist who brought down a 4-star general with his Rolling Stone reporting, died in a high-speed car crash in Los Angeles in 2013. Hours before his death, he emailed colleagues saying the FBI was investigating him and he needed to go off the radar. His car's engine was found 100 feet behind the crash site. Automotive experts said the behavior of the vehicle was consistent with a hack. The ruling was an accident. Number 4, Seth Rich, a Democratic National Committee staffer who was shot twice in the back in Washington, D.C. in 2016 in what police called a robbery. Nothing was taken. His wallet, phone, and watch were all still on him. The case remains officially unsolved. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange implied he had information relevant to the case. The FBI has never fully disclosed what it found on his laptop. Number 5, William Colby, a former CIA director who had recently cooperated with journalists investigating intelligence community activities, was found dead in a river near his Maryland home in 1996. He had left a half-eaten meal, and his canoe was found nearby. Friends said he would never leave food on the table or go canoeing at night. The ruling was accidental drowning. Before I say the last one, make sure to hit that follow button to support the channel. Number 6, Danny Casolaro, an independent journalist investigating what he called the octopus, a web of connections between governments, intelligence agencies, and organized crime. In 1991, he was found dead in a hotel bathtub with multiple deep cuts on both wrists, officially ruled a suicide. He had told family members that if he died, it would not be an accident. His briefcase full of documents was missing. Witnesses reported seeing men leaving his room. His notes were never recovered.
Ready?
Accidental drowning is really popular among federal employees.
You're not being based on the Rothschilds. I thought it was an insane rumor, but more and more people are like, no, this is like a known fact. The first Ready or Not, and now they're saying the second Ready or Not. The first one for sure, they say, is based loosely on a survivor who made it through a wedding that was located at the Rothschilds' property. Being loosely based on what I watched on Ready or Not is horrifying, but they're like, this is how this family has basically started running the world and how they keep this power and wealth that they've managed to attain. I haven't seen the second Ready or Not yet, but the fact that I'm kind of makes sense just lets you know how crazy things are right now. The fact that even people in the CIA are like, the craziest thing you learn once you are in the CIA is that you find out who really runs things. And then the second craziest thing is that after finding that out, you realize there's nothing you can do about it, and you have to then understand and kind of follow the rules or else. Movies like Ready or Not are based on the Rothschilds, are a family similar to them that may have even more power than they do that we know of, it would definitely make sense all the things that people who have leaked from the CIA have been saying for decades.
Okay. All right, folks. Thank you for staying till the end. I hope you enjoyed my lineup. Don't forget to like, hype, subscribe, and hit the button so you don't miss my video. All right. Have a wonderful day, and always God bless.